Today on Locked On Rockies, another series loss, still looking for a win number 20. When you strike out this much, when you suffer the big bad inning, you got to find ways to win ball games, and the Rockies have not cracked that case.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the third day of July in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on not only those streaming services, but the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel as well, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Keep firing off your Rockies hot takes. Keep letting me know what's on your mind, as this was a frustrating series, at least so far, when you're looking at this. Houston, good team. I believe they, on the broadcast, were saying haven't lost a series since May. They've either won or split their series since like the end of May. Rockies, of course, the complete opposite of that. But this is one where it just feels like there are opportunities and situations, but can't come up big when you need to. And then it all just starts falling apart in one inning, where it just seems to really start unraveling for the Rockies and get out of hand, and just puts it in a spot where this offense is just quite simply not good enough to make up for some of this ground. Again, we saw them fight back. We saw them get make it a close game. We saw them make things interesting in the ninth inning. Credit where credit's due. They were hitting little bloop singles and bloop things to keep things interesting in the ninth. But when you're as bad as the Rockies have been with runners in scoring position, that's you're going to keep losing games. And that was an example there. We'll, of course, talk about Yanquiel Fernandez's debut as well on the show today. And we'll look ahead to the finale, the day game finale, coming up here tomorrow as well, or today, I should say. Before we dive into everything, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So, this is maybe a little personal note here. Did you guys, those that played baseball, the Rockies remind me a lot about my high school team. Lost a lot of games, got sunk by one inning. And it's been something, we've seen the Rockies flash, have a little, bounce back here. We saw the Rockies score in the ninth. We saw that, but it just seems like the Rockies are just the opposite of not only clutch, but they can't seal the deal. They can't. It's not only coming up with a lack of coming up big on the offensive side, but it just feels like this, when the bullpen has had moments to, like, in close games this year, it's just fallen apart. It's just been a problem, and it's just been an issue. When you're looking at what happens there, it's 2 earned runs to Angel, it's an earned run to Jake Bird. These are guys, especially Bird. I mean, we need to be counting on these guys. We need to be confident in these guys. And as much as the bullpen has been a success, out of the pitchers used today from the bullpen, Jake Bird's the only one with the sub-5 ERA. And Angel has got that ERA basically close up to 6. So it's just is a bummer in situations where, the bullpen has been good in games where it hasn't mattered, or situations where it's already gotten out of hand, and has been, like in game 1, 6 straight scoreless innings, right? Have been able to come in and back up the Rockies and their starters. And the offense has certainly betrayed them. But then there's situations like this where it's like these are the moments that you have to be able to turn to this bullpen, and they need to be the strength here. They are supposed to be the best part of the Rockies. They have been the best part of the Rockies this year. So when they get into a situation, it's a close ball game, it's a tie ball game, it's getting late, they need to be able to shut the door and get the job done. And instead, it's not just one run. It's not like it's constantly seems like when it gets blown up, when the Rockies make the mistakes, when the Rockies will walk people, when the Rockies allow people to get on, and the Astros certainly were aggressive at the dish. 16 hits in this ball game. Luckily, they only scored 5, also drawing 2 walks. So 18 base runners for the Astros in this game. And then not only on top, and then on top of that, 5 for 9 with runners in scoring position. That's efficiency. That's doing damage. That's a good team. That's what you're looking for. Because on the flip side, you're looking at the Rockies with 10 hits in this ballgame and a walk, so 11 base runners here, but 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position is just flat out unacceptable. And then you mix in the fact that it's 11 strikeouts. So how many of those strikeouts happened with runners in scoring position? How many times have we seen the Rockies have totally unproductive at-bats and bad at-bats that just completely spoil innings? I mean, and then boom, 9th inning, the classic thing too. Okay, something's going up, roll over into a double play. This team just is just not clutch. We have said this time and time again. They really don't know how to win ball games. They're still learning that, as they said, and they're not clutch. They aren't making the clutch plays, and they're not getting the clutch performances from the bullpen when they need to, and they're not coming up clutch on offense when they need to. Yes, they're able to, narrow some deficits, make things a little bit better, put some pressure on, and they've been in a better spot offensively of late and since June. But they're still not getting over the hump of what it takes to win a game, getting the big base knock, continuing to make teams uncomfortable, taking advantage of your home environment. These are the things the Rockies just have time and time again when they have been tested, when they have had opportunities to show that they're improving, to show that they've made progress and take steps forward. Instead, we see innings and finishes like we saw with this one, where it's just, this is a disappointing thing, because when you look at this series, you're going to say, oh, it was a series lost to a good team. But this was 2 games in which the Rockies certainly had opportunities and chances, fought back a lot, but couldn't avoid the big damage, the big inning. It's just when the good teams are coming into Coors Field and doing exactly what the Rockies need to be specialists at, need to be extremely good at, which is getting on base, making people uncomfortable, and then driving in those runs, especially at Coors, taking advantage of where you're at. And unfortunately, this is the 5 millionth time that we've had this same exact conversation, because it just continues to repeat itself and continue to show itself. As much praise as I've given Warren Schaefer for this, it's time to start unlocking some different levels in these guys. And it's time to really start looking at it and just saying, like, it's unacceptable, the performances that we're getting from some of these guys. It flat out unacceptable that we are continuing to see strikeouts after strikeouts from Ryan McMahon and Michael Toglia. These guys, there needs to start being a direct focus and a direct approach with these guys to start fixing something. Because we can't just continue to rely on Ryan McMahon to bat in the 4-hole, batting .216, .318, .387. He's not a 4-hole hitter. He's not a cleanup hitter. It's done. The Ryan McMahon aircraft carrier power hitting experiment is over. He is not good enough to be a 4-hole hitter. He's not consistent enough to be a 4-hole hitter. He is not a cleanup bat. And Michael Toglia has not stepped up to the occasion to fill that role as well. Unacceptable to go down with how frequently those guys go down. Straight up unacceptable for it to be time and time again that Michael Toglia and Ryan McMahon strike out a combined 5+ times. That's just they're not having productive at bats. They're not being the contributors to the offense that you need them to be. And there needs to be something where you need to start attacking it. Get in the cage, get the tee work, get the machine going, start doing something as a coaching staff and as a behind-the-scenes staff to start getting your players to start making adjustments. And yes, it's hard, and I know it's easier said than done, but the Rockies, again, struck out 11 times, and the Astros struck out 3 times. Yes, it's a difference in quality of pitching. Yes, it's a difference in quality of hitters and who's in the lineup. I understand all of that. But you continue to keep leaning on Ryan McMahon and Michael Toglia in these run generating situations, and they have fallen short time and time again. And for us to sit here and still be scratching our heads and wondering what version of Ryan McMahon are we going to get this week? What version of Ryan McMahon are we going to get this month? That's not a good sign for Rockies development, and it's not a good sign for Rockies coaching. These guys being as just ill prepared and as and not able to handle the pitchers that they face is unacceptable, especially with the positions that you put them in the lineup, because you're going to have to start, moving them around. You're going to have to start getting creative. And again, if you're buying into and thinking that Ryan McMahon is a piece to help you be successful in the future, it ain't going to happen, because he's not showing that. I mean, he hasn't shown this year that, and really even it's since being selected to the All-Star game, he's not consistent enough to be a guy the Rockies can say, you're our clutch bat. You're our clutch guy that we need. He has not lived up to that. And it's frustrating to watch these games where it's just so lopsided on the strikeouts, add to the frustrations and make the losses sting a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit about young Keel Fernandez's debut. Not much going on the offensive side, but a great throw and a great play by Hunter Goodman there. And we'll just keep talking, just keep breaking down the Roccos here as we get into segment number 2 and beyond. Coming up next on Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. Gametime is your spot for tickets, not just for baseball, for everything going on this summer. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. I mean, folks, who if you enjoyed the ticket shopping process for concerts nowadays, you're out of your gourd. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. That's what I did to get in to see the Postal Service when they were touring. Tired of endless scrolling to find the best deal? Gametime Zone Deals picks the best seats in your section for you. Plus, my favorite part about Gametime, you're going to get a panoramic seat view, so you're going to know exactly where you're going to be sitting. No surprises, no big polls, no nothing. You're going to see your view from the seat before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Locked On Rockies here, back with you for segment number 2 of today's episode of the pod, reacting to another series loss for the Colorado Rockies, another loss for the Colorado Rockies as they continue the quest for win number 20. Yes, indeed, it is July 3rd, and we are still talking about the quest for win number 20. So I was talking in the first thing, and again, it's just that's what in the first segment I was just kind of highlighting what really stuck out as frustrations for this game, and it's the same stuff that has been frustrating me not only this season but going back before. And really, when you started seeing the warning signs of this Rockies offense really starting to crumble, it just does not seem like this team is capable. Or it's been shown by the win-losses, right? I just find it hard to believe that it's every team has such a high advantage against the Rockies, and maybe it is just skill-wise. Maybe it is just skill and talent level. It's just that much better across the board, across baseball. The players on every team that they face have always been better. There's always the pitchers are all better than the hitters. Statistically and performance-wise this year, you can point at that and say that, with a couple of exceptions, of course, for the Rockies offense. But that's where it's just like, and I keep picking on Ryan McMahon, but he's the prime example of just like, we're supposed to have confidence in your ability to get the most out of these players, Rockies, right? But we've watched the career of Ryan McMahon. We've watched the ups and downs. We've watched the inability of players to be able to play at Coors and on the road. We've watched your inability to get pitchers to be able to miss bats and get their pitches moving and doing what they're supposed to do at Coors Field. So again, is it solely just the talent is different on all the teams? Is it solely just the fact that all the other teams have just flat out better talent across the board? They're all just that much better? That certainly is a factor. It certainly could be a possibility. But I have to go back to the preparation. I have to go about the philosophy and the mindset and the approach to the game of the organization. How they're teaching Ryan McMahon to bat, how they're teaching Michael Toglia to bat, whatever they're doing is not helping them see pitches better. It's not helping them have better at-bats. Ryan McMahon has had a couple nine pitch at-bats. I think that we saw one earlier in this series. But it still doesn't matter when he strikes out 2 times a game. When 50% of his at-bats are strikeouts, he cannot be the 4-hole hitter. He does not hit enough home runs. He does not slug nearly what your DH needs to do. And Michael Toglia is not been able to avoid striking out the entire time he has been a pro, and especially this year. But then it's mixed with, again, Hunter Goodman, 2 strikeouts. Jordan Beck, 2 strikeouts. It's unacceptable the amount of the guys that strike out multiple times for the Rockies. So, yes, talent and skill is certainly a part of it. But we cannot ignore the preparation and the outside stuff to get these guys ready to go. That's why it's I don't know. That's what makes me so worried about the development of all these young guys. I don't have a lot of faith in the Rockies as an organization right now to develop the talent to take that next step, to get to the next level, because we really haven't seen any guys take that next step. We thought Brenton Doyle, but then maybe with everything that, there's of course everything off the field, but there's a lot of regression this year from Brenton Doyle. Nolan Jones was traded away. Ezekiel Tovar, yes, but hasn't been healthy this year. Haven't been able to get Chris Bryant in a spot where he's going to be healthy and contribute. So where is the example of the guy that's taking the step forward on offense for the Rockies that makes you sit there and say, okay, they have and again, we moved on from the hitting coach, sure. But nothing, we saw some improvement and we saw the improvement in June. But that's not translating to the strikeout stuff. And on the flip side, and with pitching, the Rockies need to start striking out more people. They need to start missing bats. They need to start being more effective at getting guys out on that end. These are, it sounds like it's just the simple stuff, but these are the Rockies struggle so mightily in these areas that we cannot ignore them. The Rockies' issue as an offensive unit is a core issue. The Rockies' inability to get people out and miss bats is a core issue. And I don't know. I just really don't have a lot of faith in the current structure to turn it around. Let's talk about Fernandez as Yanquiel Fernandez makes a debut there. Held hitless, but what a throw from right field late in this ball game to cut them down there, to flash a little bit of there. That's a total confidence booster and things that's got to feel good. At least if you're Yanquiel, you're of course you were hoping to get your first hit. You're of course hoping to knock off that milestone. I think it's of course real difficult when you don't get that hit, right? You that antsy feeling that oh, I really want this, I really need this type of thing has to continue overnight. But can get you into, now that you've seen Major League pitching a little for a couple of bats now, could put you in the right mindset for that, because you got that confidence booster of, hey, little doubt. People have the doubts about my defense, right? Well, here's a rocket throw to home and a great tag from Hunter Goodman there to keep a game close. I mean, that play is instrumental in keeping that game as close as it was. As much as the Rockies, they gave up the 16 hits, and as much trouble as they found themselves in this game, they were able to navigate it and keep it a reasonable within arm's reach for the back end of that ball game. And the Rockies were, starting to brew something there in the end, including getting a run across with Brenton Doyle Fortunately, it came on that double play, but could have been a situation where Fernandez could have found himself with a big spot with a big AB. You never know. Unless did he? Okay, no. Kyle Farmer did pinch hit for him. Okay, I was like, wait a minute. Maybe he was already finding himself, but of course they went with Kyle Farmer there before he hit into that double play. So I should have looked at that before I said anything. But so again, a bummer there. But I think that's at least you can take that little victory, right? You can take that. Hey, that's a I belong here moment, right? That's and even if it's just a cup of coffee stint for him, that's at least a moment where you can say, hey, I cut down a pro baseball player at the plate, doing a great defensive play, trusting my teammates, trusting my abilities. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the start again tomorrow. Day game, right field. Why not go out and get after it there? He'll be certainly a fine option there. And I think in that same in a similar vein there, Brenton Doyle comes in and hits that little blooper, but that might be the type of thing that for in baseball, that little thing that just getting on, just hitting getting on anyway. Brenton Doyle is now slid into first and drove in a run in this game or in the series, and then comes in and gets a pinch hit double to set up and scores as well. Those little things can add up and have a big impact for ball players. We'll see if it has we'll see if maybe it might be a small thing, maybe a small step in the right direction to help Brenton Doyle turn his 2025 around. All right, closing thoughts on this ball game here, and let's look ahead to the finale between the Astros and the Rockies coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always find and talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5. That's promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Locked On Rockies here, coming to a close on this Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever day it is. Wednesday. No. That's embarrassing. I literally just did the whole spiel. I just did the whole thing about saying the right day, and I didn't do it. Thursday episode of Locked On Rockies. My new recording schedule throws me off every time. Okay, coming up here in the finale for the Rockies versus Astros, Brandon Walter taking on Kyle Freeland here. Not so much action here so far for Walter here, as he's only had about 30 innings worth of work here. In those 30 innings worth of work, 29 and 2/3, if you're being specific, 30 strikeouts. What did we talk about is going to be the big difference maker in going into game two? We're going to be the strikeouts. What happened in game two? The Rockies struck out 11 times. So again, another situation where you're facing a guy that's going to be able to be getting striking batters out, being able to be effective at getting these runners out, and only allowed 2 walks to 5 home runs. 5 home runs in that 29 and 2/3. That could be the interesting wrinkle there here. Day game at Coors could be, I don't know, I believe. Let's take a look at the weather. Supposed to be 95 and partly cloudy on Thursday, so very good chance the ball could be flying out of the yard there. nice and dry and just gets blasted through the atmosphere there. We'll see what happens there. That could be it. Because on the flip side, the Rockies turning to their guy, Kyle Freeland here, 5.56 ERA, a 1.60 whip over 77 innings, 106 hits allowed, 59 strikeouts, 18 walks, and 9 home runs. So kind of a good thing when you kind of look at that here. If you about 50 more innings here, if you were to double what Walter has done, that would be more home runs allowed. And not so much on the hits and everything, that it would be pretty close. But if Kyle Freeland can keep the ball in the yard and keep prevent the Astros from doing the damage with the long ball, the Rockies should be able to find themselves in a situation to be close in this ball game and hopefully avoid a sweep here and getting swept away. The last thing that the Rockies need is sweeps. They got to keep at least poking and prodding and getting themselves into at least one win in these series to start getting them on a track to avoid being the worst team in baseball history. It's going to keep getting harder and harder here, but I think that'll be I think the long ball is going to be the difference maker tomorrow. That's going to be the storyline in the finale. We've seen the Rockies have some games where they're able to just explode and have jump all over some pitches and launch balls out of the yard. And I think one thing that we do need to give credit to the Rockies offense here is it's a good Astros bullpen, and the Rockies have been able to put some pressure on this Astros bullpen, make things a little bit uncomfortable for them, drive in some runs late in ball games, back-to-back ball games. The Rockies have scored in the 9th inning here, making things a little bit more uncomfortable for Houston. So that's a good sign for the club as well. Some good talented guys, and you got to just do what you did like in game 2. They were having the right thing cooking. They were having everything, moving in the right direction, and the ground ball double play unfortunately gets in the way of it there, and spoils the fun. Spoils it. It's just one of those games and one of those situations where you sit there and you just kind of have to shrug your shoulders and say these are the teams you're playing. This is the talent that you have to go up against. These are the guys that you have to beat. And we'll see if the Rockies are able to make some adjustments, as now they have been in back-to-back games against the Astros have struck out at least 10 times, 21 strikeouts for the Rockies in these 2 games against Houston. And if they continue the trend, if they let Walter continue to strike people out at the rate that he's doing, about a little more than a strikeout per inning pitched here for Brandon Walter so far, the Rockies will be sitting in a situation where it's another series in which they'll have a full game's worth of striking out. A full game's worth of outs on strikeouts is just a massive, massive problem for the club. We'll see if they can salvage it and get a win there before they move on to facing the White Sox, which will be a nice little bit of a reprieve. We'll be breaking down that series with Locked On White Sox coming up on Friday. Folks, that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can fire off your Rockies hot takes. Let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night, breaking down all the games every night for you there. And of course, we got you covered with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all for your Colorado sports action. Folks, until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.